All right, welcome back to the Magnanimous Podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about artificial intelligence, among a few other things, but that will be our main topic today. I want to start this off with some interesting news, I guess. If I was in a field of work that could be replaced via artificial intelligence or robotics, there is a company called Figure AI. It's a robotics startup, and Figure AI has announced that they are going to be shipping approximately 100,000 humanoid robots over the next 4 years. Ambitious goal, of course, is their words, not mine. And they said that they have signed their second major commercial partner. They didn't disclose who it is. Artificial intelligence and robotics, of course, is going to change our future. It's going to change everything we know about the future. And if you think that your job could be at stake, it's very possible. Even my job as a media production company. However, companies are not going to struggle as much as employees. And I've mentioned this. This is episode 5, so I've been talking about this now for 5 episodes approximately. But what I'm trying to say is if you are an employee of a, say, automotive, in the automotive world, or in, programming, those types of things, I can already write code using artificial intelligence. Why would I hire a programmer to do such a thing? Right? That's the logic. Not saying that I would do that, but I'm just saying that's the logic. Lawyers is another one that kind of worries me. I heard a podcaster talking about this the other day, and he was saying that he could basically get the same type of information from artificial intelligence that he could just go ask a lawyer. Now, of course, could he draw up the legal papers? Probably not. Not yet, anyway. Just something to think about. So, AI generated software, is it replacing programmers? I don't think entirely yet. There are people out there trying to do these things. For example, Cognition Labs, makers of Devin, the AI software engineer, they're developing artificial intelligence that can anonymously complete entire software projects with minimal human input. The keyword there is minimal. It could eventually get to where it just replaces you. That's where I'm going, all right? So some people believe this could replace that entry level. It could replace entry level development jobs. Okay, let's move on to something that I just ran across this morning, actually, which is incredible. And it is related to AI, of course, and 3D printing. I did mention one time that I do 3D printing. A lot of my projects are just for myself. I've printed several objects or things that have helped me in this line of work. Like, for example, the V-locks that go on the back of a V-mount battery. Those V-locks, you can buy the little metal ones, of course, and they lock in your V-lock. Well, if you use a gimbal, you can mount that battery on the side. I have a power hungry camera like this one over here, which is the R5C. I can plug in my V-mount battery to that and on my gimbal. And anyway, I 3D printed that. But anyway, let's go back into the 3D printed thing that I want to talk about here, which is it's 3D printed rocket engines. Now, if your mind was thinking like my mind, I'm like, how in the world is plastic gonna hold up on a 3D printed rocket engine? Now, I don't know what in the world these things are made out of. If they're made out of a special material that can withstand the heat, I don't know. I'm sure there's something out there. There's several materials like TPU. You can use TPU plus. You can use there's carbon fiber infused TPU. There's wood infused TPU. There's all kinds of different materials that you can use in 3D printing. But Relative Space and Rocket Lab, they are pioneers in 3D printed rocket engines, reducing cost and increasing productivity or production speed, should I say. Their Terrain 1 rocket was nearly 85% 3D printed. That's crazy. That's nuts. Incredible. So 3D printed or 3D printing technology using that you know as well as I do, Elon Musk, if he can get his hands on it and he's going to save a dollar to keep from having to build these things manually and he could 3D print it, yeah, he would do it. I would do it. Goes back to what I said earlier. As a company, I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about artificial intelligence unless you're in a space that could easily replace you. Like accounting, software engineers. I think that software engineers. I think that if you do like any kind of admin work that is easily replaceable, that's where I would start to worry. Even as far as like you can get our artificial intelligence has taken major leaps and bounds in video production, not necessarily the actual filming process, but like let's say I was in a production, I was filming a documentary for a hiker and I needed a shot of like, the Swiss Alps, right? And I didn't have it was going to cost me $20,000-$30,000 to fly out there, get all the permits, blah blah blah. I could just get artificial intelligence to generate it for me. I have a wide angle clip or an establishing shot of the Swiss Alps now. Okay, so why would I hire a crew to go out and get that information for me or get that video for me when I could just hire somebody to do it, right? That's what I'm getting at here. Really interesting technology here. Now, this one is very costly, and some of you may have heard of it. I heard of it years ago. However, it's coming back into the news now, especially with electric cars, right? So electric cars are majorly inefficient, especially in the wintertime. They use lithium batteries, and these batteries can only recharge so many times, and then they lose power over time before they have to be replaced. Everyday products that we have, all the cameras I have in here, anything that runs on a battery, those batteries lose their cycles after a while, and they lose their charge. Even your cell phone, after 2 years, if you upgrade every 2 years, your cell phone, you'll notice you start to lose power, right? Well, there's several companies out there working on solid state batteries. In comparison to lithium ion batteries, that's mainly what I want to talk about. So lithium ion batteries, this is going to get very, very geeky here. Okay. The lithium ion batteries, of course, they use usually lithium salts dissolved in some sort of organic solvent, but liquid is the key there. Lithium ion batteries, generally, their density is between 250 and 300 watt hours. Okay, now let's go over to solid state batteries and compare those for you. Solid state batteries, they use a ceramic polymer and glass based electrode. Okay, and then the watt hour density is, again, let's go to lithium ion, 250 to 300 watt hours. Solid state is around 400 to 500 watt hours for the same battery. Big jump there. Okay. And then lithium ion, the other thing with lithium ion batteries is the charge time. It takes forever. They get hot. You know what I'm saying? It's very inefficient, right? So 30 to 60 minutes to charge a car, say an electric car, right? From dead all the way up. With a lithium or with a solid state battery, you could do it in 10 to 15 minutes. Incredible. Now, they are saying that this technology will be it's still not mass produced, but the technology is in the state of getting it to mass production. So they're still like testing. Obviously, it's very expensive. But one of the main arguments with people in electric cars and, anything with, especially electric cars, but anything with a lithium ion battery is these things are just massively inefficient. For example, I had mentioned it on a previous episode where if I owned an electric car, it would be extremely inefficient for me because sometimes I can drive 2,500 miles a week. Those are during my peak times, right? 2,500 miles a week. I'm doing sometimes 1 to 2 tanks of gas. I drive a small SUV that gets like 27 miles to the gallon, 25, 27 miles to the gallon. I can get 350 miles per tank, and sometimes some days I can do 600 miles easily. So I need 2 tanks of gas. Not necessarily the entire 2 tanks, but you get what I'm saying. I have to fill up. But with this technology, you could get, say, 500 miles out of a charge. And I know that that exists already because you look at the new Chevy Silverado EV, it can do 500 ish. I'm give or take here. I don't know the exact numbers, but 500 ish miles to the gallon or to a charge to the gallon. Lord, we're still stuck on gasoline here. But anyway, you can go 500 miles to the charge. But imagine going 500 miles to the charge, stopping for 10 minutes, getting an 80% charge, and continuing on your path in comparison to, say, let's say you fill up my car. It only takes me maybe 4 or 5 minutes to fill it up and I'm back on the road. If you fill up a big vehicle that can go 500 miles of range, let's say a big diesel truck or, SUV that can hold up to 30 gallons, it's probably going to take you a minute or two longer than that to get your fill up. And the odds that if you have a family, they're going to go inside and spend some money probably buying snacks and stuff inside of Buc-ee's or wherever. But the technology exists, and it's coming. It's coming quickly. So costs is where that's the biggest holdback, the biggest drawback to this. Cost per kilowatt hour for lithium ion is around $100 to $150 per kilowatt hour, and then if you go into the solid state, you're looking at around $300+. So double on the high end of lithium ion, double. Crazy. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to have two categories. You're going to have, if you want to go further, faster, it's going to cost you. If you're the everyday Joe, lithium ion, you know what I mean? And eventually, as we've seen like the progression of technology over the years, you're going to see this, really far apart type of scenario. You got high-end luxury over here, and then you've got the lower end version over here, and eventually they're just going to come in and meet. They're going to eventually everything will just be solid state, right? But that is where we're headed, and it was interesting that I was doing some research on it, and it was interesting to read how much difference or what the difference is. I'm going to read off a few facts about solid state and why they are a better battery versus lithium ion batteries. So everything I'm about to say, it is how everything is better as solid state. So obviously higher energy density, meaning you can jam pack more energy into the same size-ish type of cell. Solid state batteries can hold up to 50 to 100% more energy per unit weighing than the traditional lithium ion, meaning EVs could have a much longer range. See? So we got longer range there. Faster charging. So there are prototypes out there that can charge up to 80%, like I said earlier, in 10 to 15 minutes. And then, of course, the overheating problem. We mentioned that earlier. Safety is another thing. So they're claiming improved safety. So lithium-ion batteries use flammable liquid electrolytes and can cause fires. Of course, anybody that's ever seen electronics fire, especially a car electronics fire, never a good thing. And it's hard to put out. Usually it just burns. You got to let it burn out. They usually just let it burn and causes massive issues. Thank God we don't have all cars electronics on the road today, but in the future, if we were still running on lithium-ion batteries, then that could be a problem. Just think of everything that we see right now in the car electronics or the car EV world. It's the trial phase. We're in the trial phase right now. Everything is just, they're trying to figure it out, right? Makes sense. So we get we get longer lifespan. So due to wear and tear, of course, you could get anywhere from 5 to 8 years out of a lithium-ion battery, but they're saying over a decade with solid-state batteries. So 10 years. How many people even keep their car past 3 years? Of course, the economy, yes, people are keeping their cars longer. Or if you're like me, I've only bought one new car in my entire life. I spent $13,000 on that car. That's been years ago. You can't find a $13,000 car brand new anymore. And then most of the time, you can get really good used vehicles. And if you're like me and that's what you do, you can save a ton of money buying used vehicles and let somebody else buy the expensive stuff and get the depreciation. Because an $80,000, $90,000 car can depreciate $15,000 as soon as you drive it off the lot. Doesn't make any sense to me. Look at some of the wealthiest people in the world. Some of the wealthiest people in the world, they buy Hondas and Toyotas, just generic, cars to drive because of their reliability, right? Crazy to even think. Most people think, oh, well, they've got Lamborghinis and no. Yes, they do. But average people, like, they're just driving average cars. And it kind of cuts down on, people swamping them and trying to get their attention, whatever. It's kind of smart, actually. Better performance. That's what I want to get at next with the batteries. So better performance in extreme temperatures. Lithium-ion batteries lose efficiency in the cold weather. Anybody that's driving in Canada right now and they drive an EV, they can have an 80% charge, drive to work 15, 20 miles, get back in the car, and they're down to like 50%. It's nuts. I mean, it's crazy that they lose that much efficiency, but you've got heaters in there that keep everything warm, and they just lose so much efficiency. So they operate much better in cold weather. And yeah, so there's that. Let's talk just a touch. We don't really have to, but I had already mentioned it. The artificial intelligence is now creating entire video scenes from scratch, which it's very easy to spot it if you're on any type of social media platform. I think Facebook is the worst for this, but you'll see like grandpa's driving around on a semi truck, mobility scooter, and all the comments are like, "Oh my god, this is awesome! This is awesome! This is awesome!" This is awesome. I don't wonder how many of those actually realize that that's artificial. It's not even real. Another thing that not necessarily would be replaced by AI, but I could see this really kind of filling in gaps, right? So like synthetic actors, they can actually just scan an actor and make them say things and do things. There's a few actors out there that are pushing back on this, like Keanu Reeves, for example. He won't be scanned. He doesn't want to be scanned. Rightfully so. It takes away his likeness, and you got to sign away your rights and all kinds of craziness. So yeah, there's some craziness there. But another industry I ran across, I actually forgot about it until recently, but artificial intelligence in the music generation. So using artificial intelligence to generate music, it's already disrupting the industry. People are already doing this. Basically, we've seen the election, for example. This is called the podcast election, and that is because the old dinosaurs that are in media right now are dying off, whether it is because people are just not watching the news anymore. The people that did watch the news are dying off. It's the changing of the guard, so to speak. But back to the music thing. If artificial intelligence can create an amazing beat and music, what would be the need to have somebody sing it, right? Then there's actors' jobs at risk now. You've got singers, and those jobs are at risk now. Unless you're a Swiftie, it seems like those are never going away. I digress. But Suno AI and I think it's UDIO. Udo. I have no idea. Anyway, they're generating full length, high quality songs in seconds. Amazing. So and they're becoming more and more indistinguishable from human made ones. It's crazy. So yeah, kind of a brave new world out there. And if you are in a sector that you think could be replaced by artificial intelligence, I would be worried. I personally don't really think that my job is going to ever be able to be completely replaced, because there still has to be somebody to film it. Now, if per se, I do a lot of my own editing, but let's say I needed to hire an editor, all right? what would be the need in me paying somebody to edit a video for me if an AI exists to where I can just send it out and let the AI do it, and it's done in like 15 minutes when it would take my editor an hour to 2 hours to edit. You see what I'm saying? Let me give you an example. There exists a technology currently. Now, I shoot a lot of real estate. Um, my business partner down in south of me here, he contracts me to go in, shoot the real estate. I send it to him. However, I shoot some of my own as well. And I've played around with some artificial intelligence to see how good it has become. Now, this works great on general portraiture and, just generalized photography. But if you do any kind of bracketing when you shoot, which we do in real estate, so you shoot generally 3 brackets, one overexposed, one right in the center, and one underexposed to preserve your highlights, right? So the 2 higher and lower ends are to bring up your shadows and to bring down your highlights. And then you combine all that in post-production to get one clean image that you can then edit. There exists technology to do this currently. Now, the biggest issue that I currently have with it is what we call a window pull. So your windows generally are brighter than any other part of the image, and that's the reason why you underexpose usually 3 stops, and you can go up to 5 and get down into 5, 7, 10, 12 stops, whatever. And you can do it manually and even go even further. But when you do a window pull, you want the window, or the outside to be as exposed or perfectly exposed as the outside versus the inside. You want them both to be perfect, right? We do that using bracketing, and that technology, I've tried it. However, it's not good enough yet to where it understands how to do a window pull where you can, get that window exposure down and make it look good where you can see out the window. But it is pretty good. I mean, I can put in a preset that I use and it'll generalize and get it pretty close on all the images that don't have windows, but everything else is like still got to tweak it. You know what I mean? It's not perfect. But anyway, that's enough of artificial intelligence. I do want to talk about the massive controversy in the U.S. right now, and that is U.S. aid or USAID. Everybody's calling it something different. It is U.S. aid. Is it though? Is it U.S. aid? Because some of the things that are being exposed right now that the American people, you and I, the American taxpayer dollars, are funding right now is incredible. It's astonishing how much crazy foolishness is going on right now. I'm going to give you some examples. I'm sure you have already seen it. It's old news at this point, but I did want to talk about it before I close out the program. And here's just a list of some of the things. So $1.5 million went to DEI in Siberia, and it went to workplaces and businesses for what? Moving on. $70,000 to produce a DEI musical in Ireland. Keyword Ireland, not US. Why would I support it in the US either? $2.5 million to for electric vehicles in Vietnam. Again, $2.5 million. $27,000 for transgender opera in Colombia. Amazing. $32,000 for transgender comic books in Peru. $2 million for sex changes in LGBT activism in Guatemala. And $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt. Don't they have a government? Don't all of these countries have a government? I digress. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have also been used in nonprofits linked to terrorist organizations. Millions went to EcoHealth Alliance. Hundreds of thousands of meals that went to Al Qaeda affiliated fighters in Syria. Amazing. Hundreds of $1 million went to irrigation canals, farming equipment, fertilizer to support the poppy cultivation and heroin production in Afghanistan, benefiting who? The Taliban. Amazing. Across all the government subscriptions for some of these news outlets, Politico to be the one that is getting the most attention right now. $8 million. $8 million of your money went to Politico. And how they did this was they paid for subscriptions to E&E and it racked up $8 million. Absolutely astonishing. It's amazing how they're wasting money. Of course, we've heard rumors of the Clintons and how, namely, their daughter, Chelsea, was getting money to help a foreign country. And I think if the math is correct, the meals, the amount of money per the amount of meals that actually went out to people equaled out to be like $1,000-something per meal. That's... have you ever had $1,000 meal? I haven't. I don't think I ever will, unless somebody else is paying for it. But $1,000 meal. But that's, of course, if you average out the amount of money that she received for the organization versus the amount of meals that went out. Yeah. $1,000 a meal. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And of course, if you missed it, the Democrats were livid that Donald Trump is exposing this and Elon Musk is, quote unquote, not security clearanced, blah, blah, blah. He's got somebody over him. You think Donald Trump's going to do this and not know what he's doing? Of course he's not going to do it. But the Democrats are so up in arms that these things are being exposed, but they're not mad that the said things that were being funded, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not mad about the things that are funded. They're mad about them being exposed. And come to find out, most of the politicians have been enriching themselves and are worth millions of dollars. Now, I don't know if you know how much a politician, say a senator, makes per year, but it is not equal to $1 million. And if their lifestyle, you know what I'm saying, is $150,000, I mean, that's bonkers. Like, you can't make $1 million or be worth $1 million, or say $15 million by the time you leave off of that salary. It doesn't add up. Like, it doesn't make any sense. That is all I have for you this week. I am going to wrap this up. I appreciate you, each and every one. We are finally to episode 5. So making some slow progress here, and I appreciate all the support, all those out there that are watching and viewing. If you're on if you're seeing this on YouTube, don't forget, hit the subscribe button. And remember, guys, keep your heads up out there. Don't fret. You've got this, and I will see you in the next episode.